I think
Okay.
Shrija ke to jaldi. Calcutta, she's like.
Calcutta should be early.
हमारे जयपुर
It's raining actually. It's raining. That is why.
It's also raining here in Bombay. So मुझे लगता है बॉम्बे वाले भी बेचारे परेशान होंगे.
ठीक है जी.
That's okay. हमारे शरद पूर्णिमा भी नहीं था. आज तो आएगा.
Oh, look at Monica. पूरा सजी हुई है.
Happy Karwa Chauth है. Happy Karwa.
Yeah.
So I've gone live on Instagram.
People who have joined in on Facebook.
Instagram पे मैंने live कर दिया है.
Okay. Yes.
So you can
Yeah,
also
people
join.
have joined in on Facebook already.
If you could also join that once, then I'll invite you.
Okay. आप पहले live जाओ, then I'll go on.
I've done that. I'm live on Instagram now.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll send you a request. Question.
Yeah, I can also add you 1 second.
आप add करो जरा. Request.
Invite. Did you get it?
1 second. Yes, I've got it. Yes, मैंने हाँ कर दिया. Oh, yeah.
Okay, आपको इसका वॉल्यूम कम करना पड़ेगा फोन पे.
फोन को मतलब
उसका वॉल्यूम 0 कर दो.
0.
हाँ.
0 कर दिया मैंने. Okay.
Yes.
I think we can go. People are joining there also.
And then, ma'am, you can start the recording also.
Yes, I'll start the recording.
Start.
Great. Hi everyone again officially. And
Hold on. I'll just make the Facebook. उसका वॉल्यूम डाउन करते हैं.
so while we're waiting, I'll just tell everybody we're also live on your Facebook and my Facebook as well as my Instagram. So just letting all the participants know that we're doing a live session today on mental health matters.
Recording in progress.
This is actually a session that Dr. Trupti Jain has allowed me to do on her platform Thinking Thursdays. So this is a Zoom session, and on Facebook you'll be able to see the entire Zoom session, but Instagram audience you'll be able to see only me and Trupti ji, and you'll be able to hear the other participants. So I'm excited. Are you all excited to have a discussion for the next 45 minutes? Yeah, shall we start off?
Most welcome. Yes.
Okay, super. So first I just want to share one thing with everybody. I don't want this to be sort of a monologue or any sort of lecture on whatever platform it is. So let's participate, and whenever at least when I invite you, feel free to give your thoughts, your opinions, comments, and in between stop me also. Okay, so who is this session really for? And just once again I'll repeat the title of this session: Mental Health Matters, and how can you actually relieve yourself from anxiety, depression, and even OCD with these simple strategies. I'm able to share these things with you because very simply it's something that I have experienced on myself, and now more than 10,000 people in my own community. Okay, so who is this session really for? Anybody who is experiencing low to mild form of any anxiety, stress, even depression, and even OCD, you can definitely benefit and listen to whatever is being shared with open ears, and whatever makes sense to you, please use that and try it. And on that note, I will start that off and get Trupti ji back on Instagram once. Hi to everybody on Instagram, on Facebook also. ठीक है. Okay. So everybody, quickly first I want to ask you one question. How do you define mental health? How do you define mental health? Feel free to unmute yourself and answer. And those who are on Instagram and Facebook, etc., you can put it in the comments. What is your definition of mental health? Trupti ji, maybe we can start with you. What is your definition of mental health?
Well, I think mental health is when you are physiologically, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in balance.
Okay.
Like a state of, let's say, Sthit Pragya. I think that's what I will define mental health as.
Got it. So you just wanted to check, you will be admitting those who are in the waiting room?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course.
That's something.
Okay. Excellent. Anybody else? There's something in the comments over here. Let me check that. Awareness about your emotions and states. Super. Excellent. Anybody else wants to share anything? So let me share what my understanding of mental health is. Mental health is basically the quality of your thoughts and emotions that you are predominantly holding. Okay, let me repeat that for you. Your mental health is the quality of your thoughts and emotions that you are predominantly holding. Right? Now, there are few implications of this statement, and the first implication is your outlook towards your life and the world depends significantly on your mental health. Are you all with me? Is that making sense to you? Your outlook towards your life and your world depends significantly on your mental health. How many of you all are with me? If you're with me, then please raise your hand. Yeah, and if you're on Instagram or Facebook, then you can just put a thumbs up in the comments. Okay, super. Excellent, Rahul. Thank you. High five to all those who are participating. All those who keep participating will keep getting high fives. Okay, virtual high fives. The second implication, and this is something which was very profound. It really transformed me when I first understood this. Listen closely, everybody, please. We believe that our emotions happen to us. However, once we've understood the concept of mental health, our emotions only happen or they only arise once we have had some preceding thought behind it. Let me repeat that for all of you. Our emotions arise only once we have had some preceding thought behind it. How many of you are able to follow this? If you're not able to follow this, please say no also. I will repeat it. So if everybody is able to follow this, I'll give you an example. If you are driving on the road and suddenly you feel angry, Shakuntala, I'll repeat that for you also. Basically, this example will help you to understand it. If you're driving on the road and suddenly you feel angry with somebody, it's not that that anger has just cropped up out of the blue. It's happened because you had a thought that somebody who's driving in front of you crossed you and he should not have done that. How dare he do that? There was a thought first that came, and then you started getting either stressed or anxious or angry or something. Were you able to follow this? That there is always some preceding thought behind an emotion. Okay? And I'll just request the others to keep themselves on mute if there's some other, if they're in an environment which is not conducive for everybody to listen. So coming back to that example, what happens sometimes in our life, we have had a certain pattern of thoughts so often that that corresponding emotion comes up automatically. So, and when that becomes very strong, then we become predominantly anxious, or we begin to develop a personality of, let's say, some anger. Somebody, when we say somebody has an anger issue, it's because they've allowed those thoughts to be with them for so long that that emotion has become almost automatic. Okay, I would like those who are following this to please unmute and say yes. Let's have some participation. If you're following this, please say yes. What about Dr. Shah, Shrija, Nikhil on Instagram, Upendra?
Yes.
And if you are not
Yes.
following this also, please feel free to stop me and ask. Thank you, Mandira. So, if I were to summarize this, our mental health is a combination of our thoughts and emotions, and our emotions depend significantly on the level of thoughts that we hold. Okay, let's any question as of now? Shall we proceed forward? Yeah, Trupti ji, is it okay for you?
Yes, it's okay for me. Yes.
I had a question, Aman.
Yes, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
go ahead, Rahul. I think you have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that would that be based on your beliefs and your whatever schemas that you have, your thought would be pertaining to that, basically.
So your beliefs, of course, begin to affect your thoughts. If you have a strong belief about a particular topic, then you generate thoughts accordingly. For example, if you believe that India is always supposed to win against Pakistan, okay, then if India doesn't win that match, your belief system will make you think that this is not right, and therefore you will feel upset, angry, maybe stressed, or whatever according to your level of your thoughts intensity. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I got it.
Super, excellent. Okay, now I want to get down to sharing with you 5 tools of how one can deal with anything from anxiety, depression, or even OCD, and slowly begin the process of getting relief from it. Okay, one word of caution at this point that I want to give all of you is it's not possible to have in 45 to 60 minutes expect to completely eradicate something like anxiety or stress or depression, right? How many of you all agree with this? Do you follow?
Agree.
Yeah.
Complete.
So this is supposed to be a process of, or this is supposed to be a method through which we initiate that process. We will initiate that process in this conversation, and then it will be up to you to go much deeper and remain consistent with those efforts. Okay, that's when you will get results. All right, now the first principle. How many are you all excited? Do you want to know the first tool that I have to share with you? Again, something that has worked on me. If you're excited, please unmute yourself and say yes. I would like to hear from you.
Yes.
Julie says agree on Instagram. Super, excellent. Rahul is giving a thumbs up. Lovely. Okay, now the first tool that I want to share with you is titled Your Mind is Equal to Your World. Let me repeat that for you. Your mind is equal to your world. Anybody has any thoughts on what this means? Anybody would like to throw some light on what this statement means to them? Feel free, there's no right and wrong. This is a participatory discussion. What does this mean to you? Asha ji, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, I totally agree. Mind is your world. What I see, what I hear, what I read, what I like, so I carry with me. So that becomes my world. It's away from the reality. Actually, what is happening in real and what is happening inside my mind is two completely different things.
Correct.
And like you said, consistency. If I'm thinking I want to hit this guy, consistently, if I'm thinking, a time will come when a person comes in front of me for no reason, I'll hit that guy.
Yes.
Because that guy has not done anything to me, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I want to hit this guy. I want to hit this guy.
Correct.
So it completely understand mind is your word.
Absolutely. Super. So let me give you a big high five for participating. Excellent inputs. Pooja, you have raised your hand. You want to say something?
Yeah. So what I sense out of this statement is that basically, I feel the bigger your mind is, like if you have a big mind, open mind, you have an open world. You have a big world for yourself. That's what I could sense. And if you have a small mind, then your world becomes smaller too.
Fair enough. Super. That also makes sense. To elaborate on what this really means that your world or your mind is equal to your world, please listen to this statement. Your world is simply a mental construct of what your mind is saying. Your world and the way you perceive your world is simply a mental construct of what your mind is telling you. And to give you an example to understand this, how many of you are, is there anybody over here in the audience on Facebook, Instagram, or even on Zoom that likes the color red? If you like the color red, please say yes.
Yes, I like it.
Super. So, Asha ji, you like the color red. That means that all the others don't like the color red, correct? Yes?
Me too.
You also like. Okay, so two people like red and the others don't like red. Now, I wish I had something red to show you, but assume that my hand is red in color. Asha ji and Monica will say that they like this hand, and the rest of the audience will say this is an okay hand. Assuming that they are politically correct, they'll say okay. Otherwise, they'll say no, we don't like this hand at all, because red is not the color that they like. So, this is one hand, one reality, one physical reality, but there are so many different worlds that have been created for each one of you. Each one has created a different world. One good world, one bad girl, one bad world, and one indifferent world. So that is what I mean by saying that your mind is equal to your world. How many of you followed what just happened? If you followed, please unmute and say yes, and you can even comment and say yes. How many of you followed what just happened? Yeah? What about Varun? What about Dr. Sitlani? What about Sachin, Taruna, Indra? You all are here present, and I missed to share one thing, that for your own benefit, I really urge you to be present over here on video and audio. The reason for this is that you will then try to be in an environment where you will not get disturbed and you will be able to be fully present. Excellent, Rahul. Thank you. Thank you for coming live. What about the others? Niharika has also come live. People are waking up now. Excellent. Super. So, anybody wants to ask me a question right now? Anybody wants to ask me?
Yeah, Aman, so that means that each one's world is a projection of the mind, and like it's their own reality.
Absolutely. And taking that forward, that reality is what then begins to create levels of anxiety for you, levels of depression for you, and levels of any other challenges, mental challenges that you are facing. Okay, so another quick example to understand this: if one person believes that sales is a difficult job, whenever they have targets to achieve, they will be extremely anxious. If there's another person who enjoys communicating with people and believes that sales is an easy process and they will be able to do really well, targets for them will be motivating. You're getting in the same situation, one creating anxiety, one creating almost motivation. So it becomes your mind equal to your world. If you all are following this, I want everybody to come live and say yes. And if you're not, no. That's the only way we move forward. You all cannot sit and not say yes or no. Say yes, or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, I have to shake everybody up. Here's a double high five for you all. Okay? Niharika liked that also. Lovely. Okay. Now, moving on to the second tool that I want to share with you all. And I call this tool, listen closely everybody, stillness is the key. What's the phrase? Stillness is the key. Of course, it needs to be elaborated. I'm sure you want to know what this really means. The human mind, on an average, has 50 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. The human mind, on an average, has 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. Okay? If you listen to each and every thought that you have, you are bound to be a roller coaster of emotions. And these emotions can range from mild anxiety to extreme anxiety or mild stress or mild depression, two extremes. Okay, now there's nothing much that you can really do about the mind. It is designed to generate thoughts, it will generate those thoughts. But what happens is we unconsciously identify with each and every thought that we have. How many of you all have realized this? And whatever thought comes to you, you say, you don't even question it, you just say, yes, this is correct. If you agree with this, please put a yes in the comments. Isha, Dhruvi on Instagram, all those on Facebook, here on Zoom. If you agree with this, please put a yes in the comments. Okay, so understanding this leads us to the understanding that creating a stillness, creating something called equanimity within ourselves is very, very necessary if we want to start reversing the process of this continuous anxiety that we feel. At this point, I just want to share that anxiety doesn't mean just extreme anxiety where you want to where you're so concerned that you need to maybe take some pills, etc., to take help. This works even for a mild anxiety level, and if you start working on it on that level, you don't reach an extreme level. Okay, it reaches extremes because we unconsciously keep making that mistake. Right, are you all with me? If you all are with me, please unmute and just say yes, and if you have a question, please say question and raise the question.
Yeah.
How about you, Mandira? How about you, Upinder? Sachin, you all have been quiet for long.
Yes.
I don't know who Reiki is. Reiki just says Reiki healing. I'm sure you do a lot of healing and you have a lot of people who you do healing for emotional issues. So maybe this resonates with you. Maybe this will help you with your work, and I'll be happy to listen to your thoughts also.
I just joined in, so I really don't know what went on before this. I'm sorry for that.
No, that's okay. You were missed out, so I should be sorry. Not the other. Okay. Anyway, so just jokes aside, the point that we were sharing over here is that this is a second tool for your benefit. That in order to combat things like anxiety, depression, and even OCD, one must understand the power of stillness of yourself. I won't even say stillness of your mind, because once you begin to get still, you can train your mind to pass over all these billions of thoughts that are coming to you. And once you begin to do that, then you're not a roller coaster of emotions. With me till now? Yeah? Let me remind you all, this is good to hear, not so easy to implement. Because you will listen to this right now, maybe you will do this for another 24 hours, and then day after, again you will be back. Somebody will come and say you haven't done a good job, and your anxiety will start rising again. Your stress will start rising again. That's where you need to start investing in yourself and figuring out how to be consistent. If you think you can do it yourself, do it yourself. If you think you need to take the help of somebody, take the help of somebody to be consistent. But please realize that you have to continue the journey. Okay? How many of you are able to understand this, the power of consistency? If you can understand it, just put your thumbs up. And if anybody has any questions also, please feel free to ask.
Yes.
Somebody had a question? Okay, no question, got that. The Instagram feed got disconnected, so I'm just putting that back. Truptiji, I think it's okay that I'll just leave it for, or you can join also if you.
I think you can do it because it's actually getting. I mean, I'm not able to. It's kind of pausing itself.
Okay, no worries. That's fine. We'll just leave it like this. Done. Okay, super. So I'm moving on to the third tool that I have to share with you all. Is this good? Is this space okay? Are you all able to follow? You want me to pause or anything, or should I proceed? If you want me to proceed, just say yes. Please unmute and say yes.
Yes, you can proceed.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Now, the third tool that I have for you, and once again, everything that I am sharing with you to help you to get relief from anxiety, depression, or even OCD is personally tested, which is what makes me feel very passionate about it. Okay. This third tool goes by the name the power of acceptance. What is the phrase? The power of acceptance. Let me elaborate on this, or maybe I can ask some of the people in the audience, what does acceptance really mean for you? I'll just mute Pushpa. Yeah. So, Mandira, what does acceptance really mean to you? And Sangeeta, what does acceptance really mean to you? And those who are on Instagram, Shweta, Monica, what does acceptance really mean to you? Please unmute and share. And if you're unable to share also, then you can just let me know in the comments. But I would really like to hear from you. What does acceptance really mean to you?
Hi, am I audible?
More
Yes.
than, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think for me, where it works well, acceptance is when I'm facing a lot of trouble with something in a situation. As soon as I accept it and then work with my, whatever I'm going through because of that situation, it
Right?
gets a lot easier
Got it.
once I accept the situation as is and then work around whatever is still troubling me.
But
I
what
think
does acceptance really mean to you?
That's the part.
What does acceptance mean to you? What does it mean when you say, I am accepting the situation? That's what I would like to hear from you.
Agreeing to what the situation is around me and fully giving in and agreeing with it solely without any additional thought in the first place.
Super, excellent. I think Monica also wants to say something. You're on mute, Monica. Yeah.
सेम थिंग कि एक्सेप्टेंस यही है कि जब आपके सामने चीज आई है तो आप किस तरीके से उसको डील करेंगे.
Got it.
और जैसा भी सिचुएशन हो, अच्छा हो बुरा हो जो भी है, उसको आपको एक्सेप्ट करके कैसे आपका माइंडसेट होना चाहिए उस चीज को डील करने के लिए.
Super, excellent. So Mandira and Monica, here's a high five for you. Thank you for participating. And Shweta has written on Instagram, no one is responsible for the situation, including me. Okay, super. Thank you also for participating, Shweta. Now, here's how I would also like to add on to these beautiful answers. Acceptance is simply where you drop any form of resistance that you feel at a mental and emotional level towards your current situation in life. Let me repeat that for you. Acceptance is a state in which you drop any and all mental and emotional resistance that you are feeling towards the situation that is happening in your life absolutely right now. Okay? Following? Making sense to you all? Able to follow? Yeah? Please say yes if you got that explanation. What is important over here is mental and emotional resistance. Super Mandira. Super Shweta. Mental and emotional is important. Why is it important? Because people confuse acceptance with, what's the word? Surrender. People confuse the word acceptance with surrender. They say, okay, if you ask me to accept, that means I should not do anything about the situation in my life. That's the first fight back that the mind does. Remember, everything that we are discussing today and the things that we are trying to imbibe and work on, they are breaking down your mind's old patterns. So your mind is bound to generate resistance and you will have doubts, you will have questions, etc. This is one form of that doubt. So physical action has nothing to do with mental and emotional acceptance. Are you all able to follow this? Yes, with me till now? Super. So let's take a quick live example. Anybody wants to share what is a challenging situation that people face in life? We don't need to take names also, but anybody would like to share what is a challenging situation that people go through in life? How about you, Trupti ji? Would you like to share?
Well, I think one of the common situations that I see is parents trying to cope with teenage children.
Mm-hmm.
Because teenage kids today are difficult to deal with. They have a lot of demands. And I think parents are at bay.
Okay.
They don't know how to answer these children.
Right.
So they are like demanding maybe smartphones or extra time or eating out or
Right.
Swiggy, so I think parents are really having a tough time with this. So if you can throw some light.
So that creates anxiety for them, that creates stress for them.
Anxiety for them, yes. A lot of anxiety is created. Because
Got
they're
it.
not able to meet the demands of their children. They also feel guilty, because they can't meet the demands of their children.
Right.
And they also, they're caught between like love and feeling guilty.
Got that. So beautiful
this is
example.
Common conflict.
Very nice
Yes.
example, Trupti ji, and that's the reason I went to you. I was sure you'd come up with a really good live example. So here's a high five for you.
Thank you.
If you are a parent and you have a child, it's normal to feel anxious if your child is going down the wrong path, not doing the right things, maybe not listening to you. However, if you have begun to understand this idea of acceptance, you will realize that you are feeling anxious because there's a sense of resistance within you to what is happening with your child. You cannot 100% control how your child is going to behave. They will definitely go through different phases. All you can do is, on a physical level, coach them, show them the right direction in terms of leading by example, showing them the implications of what they might be doing wrong. But on a mental and emotional level, you need to drop the resistance you have towards this situation. Because your anxiety is not created. This is very important. Please listen to this closely with your ears open. Is everybody here? Everybody present live listening to what I'm about to say? Please listen closely. Please unmute and say yes if you're with me right now. I want you to listen to this because I feel it's important. Please unmute and say yes.
Yeah. Yes.
That is also surrendering. No, I mean, you said it's not surrender, but drop the resistance. What is the difference between surrendering, not surrendering, and resistance? I don't see much of difference.
Excellent. If the parent stops taking any form of physical action to coach their child, to lead by example, to show them stories of what happens when things go wrong, that would equate to surrendering. Acceptance is... Yes.
I'm so sorry, but I don't know if I've got the right end of the stick, but I heard a particular sentence you said. You said, when you try to control. Don't you think that the key root of anxiety comes from the fact that people want to control other situations, other people, and when they can't, they end up feeling anxious because you can't control everything. So it's like I'm the mother of two children, and they're like in the most horrible of ages, like one is 18 and the other is 21. So that's like, like the worst, I mean, they're right on the crux of adulthood and stuff like that. But don't you think that the whole root cause of anxiety is just to need to control people? And when you can't control, you just go haywire and go, why can't I control them? Why control?
Super, super, super. This is a double high five for you. Why? Because you have hit the nail on the head. The more you try to control everything in your life, the more you will have resistance towards things that are not happening according to you. And the more you have resistance towards things that are not to your liking, the more you will be anxious. Did you follow this path? Did you get this? So, I also heard one very interesting word that you used, that your children are at a very horrible age. You use the word horrible.
Belief system.
Okay.
Yeah, that is like, every American movie about, crazy youngsters is literally at this age, which I find really weird because my children are a delight. Touch wood.
So why did I bring this up? Because you use the word horrible, which means your mind equal to your world. For you, it is horrible right now. The moment you have said horrible, your world has become horrible. That's why I picked that word that you said. And my honest suggestion to you is from today onwards, drop that word. Your children...
No, this is according to popular media, this is considered the horrible age.
But if you said it, you believe it somewhere.
I am very proud of my children.
I will point the stick back and say that if you use the word, somewhere you feel it also a little bit. So I want you to think about that. Maybe somewhere you also agree with that. Otherwise, you would not have used that word. Right? That's how the mind plays tricks.
So,
Making
Aman, this
sense?
would be a part of the belief system. It would be a part of a belief system that she's saying that that particular age is, I mean, it's not the right appropriate
Horrible.
age.
In double quotes. Exactly. So, as she said, how does the belief system build up? She has seen American movies. She has seen so many cases. That's how the belief system has built up. And now her thought is according to that. Now, if her thought is according to that, her mind is saying that. So, what is her world going to be? Teenagers live in a horrible world. And that's it. So, you cannot escape that anxiety then because you built that world for yourself. Are you with me? Now, I just want to share with you that this doesn't mean that you ignore the things or ignore the challenges that teenagers go through. You just have to be mindful of the label that you are putting. Yeah, making sense? It's a label that you have put or adopted from somewhere, even if you have not given that label yourself. Yes, making sense? Able to follow? Super. Anybody else has any questions?
Yeah, Aman, would objectivity, like you said, in acceptance, would objectivity help? Because acceptance can be at two levels. One is at the situational level, and one is at a personal level. So, would objectivity, like looking at the situation, would that be of help rather than getting yourself involved in that kind of a thing? I mean, in the personal level.
How would you define objectivity? What does being objective mean to you?
Yeah, so you look at things from a situation, like not like mera bacha, a child, and you yourself as a parent.
Correct. That definitely helps to detach yourself from that situation and to be able to look at it from a no more neutral perspective.
Okay.
What's the word? Neutral. And the more you are able to generate a neutral perspective, the more you are regaining control of your own world parameters. Because remember, you are defining your world. Able to follow? Yeah? Super. Excellent. So, big high five to all of you. Thank you for participating. This was excellent. This was a lovely conversation. Are you all understanding and are you all able to find some sense of joy in these points that I've shared with you? Do you think you will be able to start applying them? What are your thoughts? If you think that you will be able to apply them, Zora says thumbs up. If you think that you would be able to apply these or at least begin the process of becoming aware of this, please unmute and say yes. I'd love to hear that from you. I'd love to hear that from you. Here, your voice is very important. Can you unmute and say yes?
Yes. Yes.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. Now, I want to go on to the next tool that I have to share with you. And this tool is titled Love the Enemy. Like this word or like this sentence or like this phrase, love the enemy. Do you think it's possible to love an enemy?
No.
That was a very fast no. Who said no?
Me, Shakuntala.
Okay, why can't you love an enemy?
How can you love your enemy? नहीं तो फिर वो enemy नहीं रहेगा.
So why not? Who said you can't love an enemy? Have you seen stories of a lion and a sheep living together and a lion taking care of a sheep who was lost? You can say that they're enemies in the sense that lion eats sheep, but there was obviously some love in that lion. So it's possible? Yes or yes? I didn't give a no option only.
But that's a story only. Who knows the truth?
No, you can't. Video editing has not reached such limits that you can make such a big lie. It was captured on video.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So once again, what is an enemy? An enemy is just a word until you give it meaning. And if you have given it that meaning, then you have decided, no, I can't love my enemy. Right? So as the popular phrase goes, keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer. If we extrapolate this to talking about anxiety, depression, things like this, all of us unconsciously treat our anxious thoughts, our depressive thoughts, even our OCD related thoughts as an enemy. Let me repeat that for you. You treat them as an enemy. You want them to go away. You do not like them at all. What if we reversed it completely? What if I said that you can actually start generating some love for these thoughts and emotions that are coming to you? It sounds crazy. It's absolutely crazy, right? How crazy is it sounding to you? Put a yes in the comments if it's sounding absolutely crazy to you. Because if it isn't, then something is wrong. It should sound absolutely crazy to you. Is it sounding crazy to you? Unmute and say yes. Is it sounding crazy? Yes? How is it sounding to you, Trupti ji? Is it sounding crazy to you? Very. Mandira says very in the comments. Prachi's raised her thumb.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
why am I saying this? The reason I am saying this is because it was a personal revelation that I had. For years and years, I wanted to banish my anxiety. For years and years, I wanted to banish my OCD thoughts. And the more I tried to banish them, the stronger they got. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? The simple reason is
What you resist persist.
I think I can retire today. That's an excellent summary. Right? The more
moon will be there. Today we need moon. Yeah.
Great. I'll send you a picture also then. So, if you keep on resisting something, you are unconsciously giving it power. Let me repeat that phrase for you. If you are consistently resisting something, you are unconsciously energizing it and giving it power. And imagine doing this for 10 years like I did. How powerful do you think my anxious thoughts became? It was like a struggle every single day. It was like thinking the moment you wake up now, what is the battle that you're going to have? And then eventually I realized that it was only my own doing that was creating this. How many of you all feel that this is making sense to you, and how many of you all feel that this is powerful enough to transform anxiety, depression, and related challenges? If you agree, please unmute and say yes. If you have a question, please unmute and ask.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for participating. Super. Another reason why I honestly suggest that we develop love for challenging thoughts and emotions like these is these are the challenges that will force you to grow and learn in life. If I did not go through these extremely challenging thoughts and emotions, I would not have been where I am today. And even if me being here is giving 40, 50, however many people are here live with us today in total, if it is even just giving one simple tool to all these 40, 50 people, it is worth it. And therefore, you should love your anxiety. Give your anxious thoughts love. It is almost, it works reverse. The more you love it, the less powerful it will become. And the more you will learn and grow from it. How exciting does this sound to you all? How exciting does this sound to you all? Making sense? Please put a thumbs up if it's making sense. Yeah? Super.
It sounds scary to me.
Scary, it should sound scary. If it doesn't sound scary, that means you're not thinking about it. Okay? So, why am I saying this? Because growth only happens when you are in a slight state of discomfort. No growth happens when you continue on a path of ease and comfort. Only when you are pushed a little bit, then you grow. Yeah? Super. Any questions anybody would like to ask? In that case, it brings me to my fifth and final point that I would like to share with you all. The fifth tool for today. And this fifth tool is my personal favorite. This fifth tool is my personal favorite, and it is titled, Even if you are not fully aware of it, you are already happy. This last tool of mine is titled, Even if you are not fully aware of it, you are already happy. Sounds crazy again? Some people are saying, this guy is absolutely nuts. He's saying, I'm already happy. Why have I come to this session then? Right? You come to this session to actually realize this. This is the significance, this is the ultimate realization. Now, if I connect it with all the things that we have been speaking about earlier, developing love for your anxious thoughts, training your mind to pass over your anxious thoughts, flying right on Instagram has also put a thumbs up, learning the power of stillness. All these things will point you to, when you practice them consistently, beneath all your mind boggling thoughts, you will feel a sense of stillness and happiness already present. And the more you are able to stay in touch with that, you will realize and not just know at an intellectual level, but actually experience what I have just shared. That at a very deep level, you are already happy. At a very deep level, at your deepest core, you are already happy. And your job is to remove the garbage above that, just to realize it. How many of you are able to follow what I'm saying? The journey is the price you pay, Monica is saying. Monica, can you unmute yourself and say it if you don't mind? In the meantime, I'll also try and read out what she has written. The journey is the price you pay to realize it within to start with. Super. So, everybody, how are these points for you? How are these tools for you? Can I listen? Can I hear from you on whether you are willing to attempt and try this? Yes or yes? No, no option given again. Are you willing to try? If you're willing to try, please unmute and say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, why not?
How many
Yes.
of you all have kept a fast
Yes.
today? Over here, how many of you have kept a fast?
I think fasting people are not here. One
Okay.
or two, maybe.
So
Monica.
that means all
Monica
of
has
you,
kept the fast that
Yes,
time.
Monica.
all of you should have much more energy than this, because I haven't had a sip of water since 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m.
Oh,
So you all must be saying yes much louder than me. Okay?
Yes.
That's the spirit.
Yes, yes, yes.
Finally,
Yes.
Bhavna is
Yes,
unmuting.
yes,
Mandira
yes.
is unmuting. That's how you must. So if my promise to you, and I can give it to you in as a guarantee also, I am not scared of putting my words out there. You can even take me to court if you want. If you practice this consciously, if you practice these things consciously, there is no way that you will not get results. This is all I want to say. This is my only summary. Okay? And please remember that taking help always helps you to make your process or speeden up your growth. Okay, so just feel free to take help from anywhere, whether it's a book, whether it's a program, whether it's your parent, whether it's a mentor, anything. Taking help always helps. Even though I've been a happiness coach now for several years, I continuously align myself with somebody or some resource where I can keep on learning and growing. That's what I would honestly advise all of you to do also. And I think that brings me to my summary of, brings me to the conclusion of today's session. Trupti ji, you may take over and you may let me know if any people have questions. I'll also check on Instagram and Facebook how everybody is doing.
Yeah, please. So, friends, any questions? I'll just check on my Facebook also.
I would like you to repeat, Aman, one thing. Though I think you have answered already, but still I want you to repeat it again. That what is the difference between acceptance and feeling or not?
Yeah, sure. So acceptance happens at a mental and emotional level, Surrendering happens at a physical level where you stop taking action, physical action. So when you accept, you can still be taking action, finding solutions, speaking to people, making changes in your situation, but you are doing this from a space of 100% mental and emotional acceptance. Is that easy to understand now? Or let me say at least more clear, even if not easy?
I think then it is something like you are accepting the situations without having complaints in your mind.
Correct. And not forcing, don't force those complaints to go away.
Aman,
Yes,
may I reiterate your point with a personal example?
of course.
Yeah, go on, Sarah.
Okay. This has happened to me when I was myself a kid. I was a teenager. I come from a family which their main mode of communication was gaslighting. So, as a teenager, I spent all my teens trying to live up to the expectations of my parents, and I was I was good at the stuff I'm supposed to be good at. I wasn't brilliant, but I was good. I was good in my extracurricular with my. I was a reasonably good student. Everything was okay, you can say. But I was never quite good enough. And that created a lot of anxiety, a lot of resentment, a lot of acting out against myself. I started smoking at the age of 14.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was like, oh, and that sort of a thing. And then as I grew older, I meditated a little bit of Osho, whatever, this, that. And I was able to take a step back. As you said, you become neutral. I was able to take a step back. And when I took a step back and in a coldly clinical way, when I looked at my parents, I realized something. Like, your parents are your idols, and idols always have feet of clay, you can say. So I looked at my parents and I realized that they are themselves in a very unhappy marriage.
Right.
And my father himself, he was a very anxious person, which he didn't want to show, but regarding his business and his own work. And he was facing a lot of anxiety, and maybe I was their pressure release valve.
Right.
Okay, घर पे जाएंगे शाम को ठंडे होने के लिए क्या है? You are the one who's the problem. So yeah, they used to go. And because of that, I spent years pulling at my own hair. But when I took a step back and I looked at them in a coldly clinical way, I realized that they themselves are not in control.
Right.
They are not able to stop themselves. They are not able to hold themselves back. They themselves are not neutral. They are venting.
Right.
And when I was able to take a step back, I also felt, instead of feeling resentment or anger towards them, as you said, love your enemy.
Right.
I felt something between love and pity for them.
Right.
Because I understood the problems of their life.
Right.
अगर वो कुछ बुरा कर रहे हैं तो वो शायद उनकी खुद की जिंदगी जिस दयार पे आई है उसका नतीजा है, and they're just acting out about it.
Right.
At that point, I was able to look at that in that way, and I thank the fates for that. Because I was neutral about it, I was able to help elevate their problems in a way, help them out with the business and this and that. So yeah, loving your enemy is pretty much the only thing, If there's something, a problem in your life, I think rather than running away from it, it is better to lean into it.
Right.
Give it a good cold hard look and deal with it. छुपने से तो वैसे भी कोई फायदा नहीं होता.
Beautiful story. I mean, this is a really good way to put it, and I'm sure the others have also really understood the essence of what you're trying to say. You genuinely deserve a big high five from me. Super story, and I think is really inspiring for others. If you have done
Aman,
it, others.
How would you define enemy as? Like, even in this thing, like, what would be an enemy? Just going into the definition probably will make things easier.
That's also very true. Once you realize that you are defining your enemy the way, or your enemy becomes that you are defining it, You can even start working on that. And then life becomes so. There are various levels. I mean, first you start loving your enemy, then you start working towards destroying the definition of enemy only, and you keep progressing. That's how it works. Yeah. So, anybody else has any questions? Any suggestions, Rupti ji, for the session?
So Rahul's question, about and the whole premise of how do you love somebody that you hate. So I think that is a very important question. And how I would answer it is, there is something what I call spiritual posturing. The way you posture yourself with somebody is very important. So if I posture myself with somebody sitting opposite, it is possible that you are in a posture of, let's say, attack. You're looking into the eyes of the person and you're talking and you may get angry. Okay, but let us say if you posture yourself sitting next to somebody, like sitting next to somebody, there is a low, you may not shout if you're sitting next to somebody. If you're sitting opposite somebody, there is a tendency that you may yell or shout. So how do you posture yourself? I'll give you an example, Aman, if I can.
Sure, please.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of a client who came for one of the workshops. And interestingly, in the workshop, all were women. And most of them had problems with their mothers, which was interesting. And one of the women in the workshop told me that she still cannot forgive her mother, who's actually 92 or 93. And she herself was about 68 or something like that, yeah. So I was a little surprised, that your mother is 92 and she's quite a well-known person also. So I said, what's the problem? So she said that, well, my mother is a classical singer and she spent, when I was young, when I was a small child, she was busy with her riyas and doing concerts and stuff like that. And I think she never gave me time. And I was the one, as I grew up, looked after the house, whether it's groceries or helpers or something like that. And now she's 92. I don't live in her home. I live in another city, but I go back every 2 months to look at the groceries and the helpers and all that stuff. But I'm not just able to forgive her. Somehow I'm not having that in my heart, So I just told her, the next time you go to your mother's place, why don't you sit next to her? So she said that's not possible because I never sit next to her. I always sit opposite her, or I'll sit far away from her, or I will sit in a chair and she'll be sitting on the bed. So I will sit in a position where I am in control. So I said, well, for a change, why don't you sit on a muda? Wherever she's sitting, sit on a lower level muda or a stool. So she said, what will that do? I said, just do it first. The problem with people is they always want to know the result.
Right.
You will suggest them something. They'll say, isko karne se, what is going to happen?
Correct.
But first do it, So I told her that, why don't you do it the next time you go and meet your mother? So she did go, and but I know maybe 2 months later or something, she called up. And she was crying, and I said, okay, what happened? She said, nahi, aapne jo kaha tha. I said, let me try. So I sat next to my mother. She was sitting on the bed, and I'm sitting on a stool with great difficulty next to her. And unconsciously, she said, I put my head on her lap.
Okay.
And my mother started to stroke my back. It was not a conscious decision to do it. I think this is something very important for us to understand, that sometimes we just have to become the child to your parent.
Right.
The problem with human beings is, as they grow older, they think that they should parent the parent.
Right.
So she said that my mother started stroking my hair, my back, and I don't know, something happened to me. As if years and years of a sense of lack of touch to get fulfilled within me, or I started to react. My body started to react first. Even before my tears, my body started to shiver. And then I just looked up at her, and she had tears in her eyes, and she was looking at me with so much of love. that I have never seen this in my mother's eyes. I said, because you never gave her a chance to allow her to see you as her child. And she actually, what I told, stood it because she experienced it.
Right.
And her equation for mother just changed just by posturing herself differently.
Ma'am, she allowed herself to see the mother
Yes.
as the mother.
Yes, she allowed herself not to see her as an attacker, a persecutor, an enemy, or her love, that she doesn't want me to be happy, but she actually saw that she was her mother.
Right.
And I think this is what I always tell my clients and parents, is that posture yourself in a way where the result is favorable to.
Right.
We actually forget this as we grow older. We start sitting in a. I mean, you can just observe yourself today, tomorrow, day after, how you sit with people. You will realize that maybe you are sitting in a situation, in a position, you're on a chair or on the floor, or next to who you're sitting. Sometimes in a family, I notice that whoever you're comfortable with, you tend to go and sit with that person.
Right.
And you don't, so when you say a person you're comfortable with, you're opposite person you're not comfortable with.
Right.
But if you start sitting with people you're uncomfortable with in a very casual, nice manner, you may actually realize that it's easy.
Yeah.
Like husband and wife watching television together with a spouse, right? Sit next to the spouse. And you can unconsciously, hand may just go to the spouse's thigh or shoulder. It's unconscious, just the body wants to have touch.
Interesting.
The body wants to be touched, right? Because the body is, because that's what is love.
Right.
So we want to be touched, hugging, kissing, fondling, touching, high five. What is all this? This is all touch, right? So if you're going to not sit in a posture which encourages touch, then obviously you're going to have problems with the opposite person. So try and do this. A beautiful way of spiritually posturing yourself with people, with your friends or enemies. Posture yourself beautifully. Find out what touch do you want. What is the kind of touch? Like I always say, what is your preference of touch?
Right.
And you can always tell your husband, I want you to hug me tight.
Right.
That's a kind of preference, but you don't say it. You don't posture yourself like that. And the husband, doesn't know. So this is what I want to say, that this is a very interesting way of